Welcome to Just Puzzling. My name's Chris. Today we're going to do a Killer Sudoku at the expert level. I tend to do this on my iPad, and I also will not use notes. So let's get into it and see how we go. Alright, so let's do the easy one there. 7, easy. What do we got else? So that is a full cell. There's a 7 there. So we know that the 7 is going to be down that side. We know that this is going to be 1, 2 and 4. So 10 plus 12 is 22, plus 8 is 13. This is 9 and 6 because it adds up to 15 and the 7s are out. So that's 9 and 6, that's 1 and 3. That's 2 and 5. So if that's 4, 25 plus 7 is 32, plus 7 is 39. That makes that a 6 to get it up to 45. And the reason for that rule is because basically 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 equals 45. So because I had a basically what I call a free cage, I could figure out what that was, the number. Okay, so we know that that's 9 and 6. We know that that will be 7 and 8 then. Okay. So if that's 9 and 6, that's 7 and 8. 7 and 8, and that's 9 and 6. This can't be 6 and 1. This can't be 6 and 1. So that's got to be a 1, and that has to be a 7. Okay. What else have we got? Just sort of scanning the digits at the present time. It's really interesting how these are all in blocks. Right, so they're all in blocks to there, and then it seems to be a real mix and mess up there. Okay, so this is 9 and 7 here. This is going to be 8 and 5, because it can't be 6 and 7, it can't be 9 and 4. Because of that 8 there, that's an 8, and that's a 5. Alright, so we still know that is 5 and 2, because that's 1 and 3. 5 and 2, so 5 is up here somewhere. That's not telling me a lot. So, because that's 7 and 9, this can only be 9 or 8. Okay. So, what do we say? 10 plus 12 is 22, 28, so that's 17. It's not really telling me much in terms of that. So I know that that's a 9 down there somewhere. So that could be a 9. That could be a 9. That could be a 9. Okay. So if I know that that's 9 and 6. So I know now that this. So if I know that this is 9 and 6. Right, let's do this one here. Can't be a 1 and 9 because of 9 and 6. Can't be a 7 and 3 because of that 7. Can't be a 6 and 4. So it's an 8 and 2 there, which means, based on my logic before, this here is a 9 and this is a 3. So my 9 is down there somewhere. Okay, so what does that leave me in terms of this? This leaves me as a 3, 4, 5. This is here, can't be a 2 and 4, so 6 can only have 1 and 5 or 2 and 4. Can't be a 2, so that's a 5, and that's a 1. So my 1 is there somewhere. My 2 and 4 is still undecided. This is 8 and 6, because of that there, 8 there, that's got to be an 8. And that's a 6. So this has left me with 11. And I can actually tell you what the 2 digits are. So the 2 digits are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 into 22 doesn't go. So 4, and that will be the 7. So this is going to be 6 and 9 as well. 3 and 5 here. Okay, because I know that's 7 and 8. That's the 7, that's the 8. What I do know now is 3 is here somewhere, and 4 is there. So that's going to be my 4 there. And what I also know is 2 will be down the bottom here as well. So 2 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 there. Okay, so what else have we got? 7 and 4, 2 and 5, 5. Okay, 5 and 3. How else are we looking? So here is 9 and 1. Okay, so the number that make up a 10 cage is 1 and 9, 2 and 8, 3 and 7, 4 and 6. 4 and 6 is out, 7 and 8 is out. Sorry, 7 and 3 is out, 8 and 2 is out. That's 9 and 1, which leads me to believe that this is still a 2, 6. So if that's 9 and 1, that must be a 1 there, and that must be a 2. So this leaves this as a 3, 5 number here, 9 and 1. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 must be there. Okay. What I now know is 6 is in one of those two digits there. Alright, so let's have a look. 1, 2, 3. So I need a 4 in one of those two, or a 6. 8, 1, 3 and 5. 21, so 6 and 7 out of the 21. So what does that leave me? So I have 9, and then if I could have, because I'm thinking it's 9, 8 and 4, because the 9 has to be there, because the 7 and 6 and the 8, so 9 has to be there, which leaves me with 12, and that's 8 and 4. Okay, so 8 is there, 9 can be anywhere, and 4 can be anywhere. Does that actually help me anywhere? So the 4 is across that line there, 4 is there, so this is actually a 4, which leaves, if that's a 4 in that box there, that leaves that as a 12 left. Because of the 8 and 5, that takes out the 7 and 5 and the 8 and 4, so it's going to be a 9. So because of that 9 there, that's a 9 there. Okay, so across here is a 9. Across here is a 9, so one of these two numbers here, 9 and 6 will take out to 15, so they have to be -3, so that's the 9 there. Okay, and so that resolves that 9 there, and that resolves that 6. So what we're looking at here is this is 4 and 3 here, which means that that has to be the 6. Remember I told you that, and that has to be the 4. Okay. So what that's done is that's left 7 there. Can't be a 5 and 2. So this is 1 and 6 here. Which means that 1 has to be in one of those two. This here is 9, 1 and 6 is out, 5 and 4 out, so this is 2 and 7. Do I know anything about that? No, so that's not really helping me either. Okay, got this. So this is resolved as 2 and 4 here. So that's 4, 2 and 4, 2 and 5, 1 and 3. I'm still not resolved in terms of anything that makes sense. I know that that can't be a 9 and 4 because of the 9 and 9. It can be a 6 and 7, and it can be an 8 and 5. So 6. So in here I've got 6, 8 as definite numbers. One, definitely not 2. So 2 is in here. So this is 2 and 4, right? And 2 can't be there because that would be 9, 2, and 5, which resolves that. So that means that that's the 2 there, and that's the 4, which resolves this one, which is the 4 and 3. So we said that was 2 and 5, so that resolves that as the 1. We know that that's 3 and 5, so this is 1 here. So 1, if that's 1, that leaves 10. It can't be 2 and 4 there. Can't be 1 and 9. So it is actually 3 and 7 are the other numbers. But I can't tell you which is which at the moment. I can tell you though that that's a 7. Because the reason being that that's a 7 there. 7 can't appear in that row, so that's a 7. And plus also that adds up to 17. So that resolves that as being the 7. Then I have the 1 and the 3, which resolves this as the 3 and the 5. Still got the 1 and 9 there. We know that this is now 8 and 5 because 9's there, the 7 is here, so this can only be 8 and 5 because that's 8 there, that's an 8, that's a 5. Alright, we've resolved the 7 and 9 conundrum there. We've still got 6 and 1, and we've still got 2 and 7, so 7 can only be there, and that can be a 2. So 2 is up here somewhere, so that's a 2. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 can be there, that makes that the 5. 4, where's the 4? So there's a 4 there, 4 there, so there's a 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That makes that a 5. So somewhere across here is a 5. Okay, let's do this. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So up here is an 8. Alright, so because that's 6 there, that's a 6 there, and that's a 1. So 1 is going to be one of those two. Can be that because that can be 1 and 9. But I do know that that is a 1 and that is a 9. Still hasn't resolved that, but 1, 2, 3. Interesting, I still haven't resolved the 1 and 3 here. I still haven't resolved the 9 and 6, so there's a little bit of work still to do in this to resolve some of the numbers that we've got. Okay, so 6 is there. So 6 is going to be one of those two. So if that's 6, that has to be a 4. That works. If that's 1, that's a 9. So that works. Not good. So I know that 2 can't be there. So 2 is going to be in those two cells. 2's in those two cells, which resolves that to be the 2 there. And if I had really thought about that, I should have resolved that much earlier. The reason being is if that's 2 and 5, that couldn't have been 2 and 5. Okay, so 4 and 3. Okay, so what we now know is the 3 is there and the 1 is there. So that resolves that. I now resolve the 1 there, resolves the 9 there. So 9 has to be there because it can't be in this row. 9 there, which means that's got to be the 9, that's got to be the 6. So we've resolved the 6 there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which resolves this, 5 and 2. I've got this resolved as 8 and 4, and then I've got 4 there and 2 there. Alright, so we did this Killer Sudoku in just around 14 minutes. You know, pretty happy with how that actually fell out. A couple of surprises in the way that I actually worked the logic through, but on the whole, pretty happy. Hope you enjoy. Bye for now.